Okay, thank you, Chair Desjardins. Summary of the August board meeting preview. After our allotted time for comments and delegations, we will review the latest enrollment report.
Superintendent Lutz, I forgot to do my introduction. Do you mind if I interrupt you briefly? Okay, Rich, I would just like to say, Ani Nindaway Magananda, Niji Gikinu Indaway Maganan. Ningi Mikuchuendan Ingawagaman Nungam. Manomen Ike, he's a Snungam. Ashinanan gonna visit. Uzawana Kupuk Nindigo, Nicole Desjardins and Dishnakas, Ogishiki Ministin and Duden. Nisqua Gummy Zagai Gunning and Dujiba, Obashing and Dujiba. Oga Cunning. Ingi under this, Oga Cunning and the Mungam. Banaji Dita, where any Bimadizan Zagi de you need which isn't the real. Go, you can carry on, Superintendent Lutz.
Okay, thank you, Chair Desjardins. After our allotted time for delegations, we'll look at the enrollment report, the latest one, followed by the business manager's report. After that, we will move into the consent agenda, including approving the minutes from our July board meeting, followed by approving Rob May, Sharon Kingbird, and Inu Gishik to attend NIEA in Albuquerque in October. Then we will look at closing a 1.0 FTE music position and opening one more student support position. Next, the board will be asked to approve the rescinding of an employment offer for a student support professional for the district. The board will then be asked to approve of one resignation, followed by the hire of 8 new staff members. Next, the board will be asked to approve the start of the 23-24 substitute lists for the district, followed by approving the opening and posting of the recommended club list for the 23-24 school year. Next, the board will be asked to accept the 23-24 school milk bid from Cashwa Distributing, approving the 23-24 fee schedules, and closing a 1.0 FTE elementary teacher position for the 23-24 school year. We also have 3 new additions for the consent agenda, which we will get to at the point when we approve the agenda for today. And then I can let you know what those are. There's no need for a closed session at this board meeting. After that, the board will then move into action items. We have 4 action items today, including approving the list of bills, check number 214,892 to 215,113, and wires in the amount of $2,598,645.46, followed by designating the identified official with authority for education identity and access management, the routine procedure, followed by ratifying the 2023-2025 Teachers Master Agreement. And finally, item D, a review of policy 625, grade 6 through 12 activities policy. After that, we'll move into miscellaneous concerns and then we'll adjourn our meeting. Thank you.
Great. With that being said, we are gonna move on to item 4. Before we go on to item 4, I am going to be removing item 9D as school board chair executive order, and that is gonna go to the policy committee, which is gonna be held this Friday. The meeting will be held this Friday. So they are gonna be reviewing this policy before it comes to the school board meeting. So executive order, item 9D will be removed from the consent agenda. With that being said, we are moving on to item 4, approval of the agenda for August 15, 2023.
And at this point, if I can tell you what the 3 new agenda items are, we can approve. One of the additions is going to be considered item 7S. So it's part of the consent agenda, and it is the closure of an elementary teacher position for the school year, the 4th grade position, because we don't need it this year. Likely we will need it again next year, but for this year we do not need it. And then item 7T, also part of the consent agenda, approving the hiring of Cassandra Soline as a school readiness teacher for the district. And item 7U, consent item, approving the hiring of Donna Whitefeather as a paraprofessional for the district. Those are three new additions to the consent agenda. Pardon me? S? S is closing in the elementary.
Fourth grade teacher?
Yep, we don't need that particular position. The fourth grade group is a little smaller than it was last year. Likely we'll need to add it again next year, but
So how many we gonna have then? Four?
four, I believe it is. I believe.
Oh, I think it's one of them.
Yeah. All right, me, which with that being said, do we have a motion to approve the agenda for August 15th, 2022?
I'd like to go to NIEA now, the 15th. Right, fighting it. Get approval for that?
When is that, Jack?
It's in,
15th to 22nd to October.
Okay.
I was wondering about the one that's going on in Washington DC next month, about 3-4 weeks. Nate?
yep, NAPUS.
And I think that is that's September's, it starts on Sunday, right? Sunday morning.
It does, yep.
So travel day would be Saturday and then we come back Wednesday. So are we gonna move our school board meeting to the following day, Thursday?
We may have to do that or even the following week.
Okay.
We could take a look at what things look like in September and decide if we need to move it up or back, how far back. Yep, I think you're correct on that.
So would that be okay now so that I can start making arrangements? Like, all that?
I think that's something that with your consent, we can add it to the agenda. It's up to the board. Add it to our consent agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, so we could make that,
I don't know if there's anyone else going.
V, item V, 7V.
What was it here last time?
Or is it under miscellaneous?
I have to go to,
Could be under miscellaneous too, if you'd like, yeah.
Or-
I have to go to a wedding then that week. Or was it here last time? We brought it up.
Oh, so it would go under item B as well as the other staff traveling? No?
Yep, we can make a friendly amendment, add it to that, actually.
Well, traveled over.
Yeah,
So Jack is requesting to go to, Albuquerque. And I think that's, we have 3 staff members going, would be added to that. Then for Nathan, that's in September 15th or 16th, 14th. And I know I've. I know I'm one of them. I'm not sure who the other board member is that's gonna come with that, I'm sure. Jack,
so far we've got Jack and you.
BC?
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'll make that, some of my work should be done later.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to send a school board member to the Albuquerque one though.
are you interested in going to?
Well, no, I mean.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Trying to go to that. Yeah, Albuquerque sounds nice. We're usually. No, I can't make that.
Are we adding that in the consent then?
We're amending B and adding Jack DeJardy to the list.
We're adding.
Yep. So we're adding
No, 7B.
7B.
Making an amendment to 7B, just adding Jack's name to the list of people going to NIEA.
and Nicole, you too, right, your name as well?
That would be for Nathus. No, I'm
So-
following on Albuquerque, yeah.
So
Yeah.
we could add,
No, right up here is where the staff are going.
Oh, no, where's the?
Oh, it's not on there yet.
Oh, okay.
so what we should probably do is do a 7B as in Victor for Naples, because that's not on here anywhere for Naples. So Jack and Nicole going to Naples 7B as in Victor.
Okay.
Okay,
I agree.
Which. Okay, since that's been added, now we're gonna make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move to approve.
Second, or is approved by Chris. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Rob. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have 6-4 and no against. We're gonna move on to item 5, public comments and delegation. Do you have any community members here today? Would you like to speak? Oh, that's been taken off the agenda, but you're welcome to speak on that. You get 5 minutes. It's been, this, in case you missed it, we removed it from the agenda and it's been moved to the policy committee for review on Friday. Okay. And then once that's done, then it can be presented to the.
Where's that meeting gonna be at Friday?
Three choices.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been decided yet. Ashley's still working on that.
That's 8 in the morning, Friday?
9.
9, and moved it to 9 in the morning, Friday, Good Friday.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's either
If you like, you can speak on that, but otherwise.
library over there,
Library at the elementary or?
Lucan, or,
There were several choices.
I don't know, I don't know.
I'll try to find an answer
All right,
before we're done.
remember,
All
we're
right.
gonna give
Sounds
Karen the floor. She's gonna speak on some items.
Okay, well, for you guys, Karen Dizikog, Lakwani Udam, Nizar Community Youth Club. My name is Karen. I'm from Red Lake. I graduated here in 2022 and I'm the communication specialist for our local youth council. And I was here to speak about the grade change if it like were to happen. I believe that the expectation should remain the same with the requirement on the ANC to play sport. I asked a few current students their opinion on it and they shared that earning a C is manageable. If they wanted a C, I could get it. I witnessed student athletes managing to get a C the morning of a game and even hours before. Playing a sport is a privilege and at Red Lake that is more accessible because we don't have tryouts, so everyone's on the team. Maintaining a C, while believing that maintaining a C is unattainable, I do understand that there are some circumstances or situations that make it difficult and that these should be addressed separately, like case by case. Everyone shares that high school sports prepare athletes for life. How are we preparing them by lowering expectations for them? I know many people believe that we're setting up them for failure with higher expectations, but this is viewed with the short-term results of them playing on a team. When you look at the long-term results, such as work ethic in college, they'll be more successful. They will learn how to work hard and be proud of their effort to achieve these grades and to be able to play on the team. And the door to college will be more open because majority of the scholarships require a 2.0.
Which I appreciate that and I definitely agree with you on the same way. So thank you for making the school board and sharing how you feel about that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, with that being said, we're gonna move on to item 6, reports.
Thank you, Chair DeJarle.
6A, Gitche Okama, Debaja Moen, Superintendent Report, Jimmy Bridge.
Thank you. The report for me was sent out to you ahead of time, but I wanted to repeat the fact that kind of proud to be able to say that our district nurse was awarded and recognized by the Minnesota Department of Health as an immunization champion. And it's very good timing considering at our last board meeting, she came and spoke to us about the need to do that. And an update on that as well. She called me yesterday and told me that over the weekend, about 10 to 12 families came in to get their children updated with their immunization. And many of them said that they were there because of a letter they received from the school district. So all of the principals sent out letters to all of the students who we were given from Charmaine who needed to be updated with their vaccines. So I want to thank again Charmaine for doing great work for the district. I want to congratulate her publicly for this honor and award from the Minnesota Department of Health. And I'd like to thank the principals for acting quickly, getting letters out. They did a very nice job and we're making progress getting our vaccines up to date in the district. Thank you.
Bridge. With that being said, we're gonna move on to item 6B, Junia Gitchi Okama Debajamoan, Business Manager Report.
For that, it's a report that was presented to you earlier. It's the same report with information, the same kinds of information that you receive every year or every month from Willie. And I submit that to you. It's for the month ended July 31st. So I submit that to you for your approval. Which I guess we don't really need an agenda motion for that, but
Eagridge. We're moving on to item 7, consent agenda for August 15, 2023. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Rich, Jack, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Rich, Rob? Do we have any discussion?
yeah, I have a question on Steve. Yeah, we had a music teacher. He left, he resigned last month and you accepted his resignation. We have not been able to find a replacement. We did have one applicant. We set up an interview and before we could interview him, he let us know that he has accepted a job somewhere else. So because it was a program that really wasn't doing very well and we weren't going to have a music teacher, we decided to close it for this year so that we could take another step in a different direction and instead bring in a student support professional who can work with music and through music to do supports, emotional supports, behavioral supports, and calming supports for students from a cultural perspective. So this will be cultural music and student support professional who will be working with kids. We'll probably still be using the music room for that kind of work, but by closing the music position, we can now move the funding to this new student support position to help with that, and it'll be culture, and it'll still be a lot of music.
Is that Corey Medina?
Yep.
You say cultural music. Find that one.
Well, there'll be some drumming, a lot of the drumming music and a lot of the music of the Native American tradition, those kinds of things. He will also teach kids or be able to work with kids with some of his background with guitar or with some of the instruments that we have. But we simply can't call him a music teacher because he doesn't have a teaching license. But he'll still be doing a lot of connecting with kids and trying. Our goal is we can build a program that teaches music and culture. And perhaps he would be willing to go back to school, get a teaching license, and work with him on that. He may not wish to do that. If that's the case, then we might look for another teacher of music next year who can really teach students about the music of the Anishinaabe people.
Was the classes before accredited? The music teacher, the classes that.
Yep, they were part of an arts credit. We don't need that because we have other arts credits that we can offer students. Students only need that one art credit. They can get it through music, they can get it through theater, dance, video production, those kinds of opportunities, and we have a couple of those still in place. So, but we were only using the previous music teacher for about half a day. We had no students coming. Nobody was engaged. Nobody was interested. And we were utilizing him for study hall or computer lab. It was not a good use of his abilities or his talents this time. So,
Is there any kind of loophole where Corey is the student support professional, but we can set it up in a way where it could be a class that is credited? Like I know he don't have a teaching license. So.
right. The loophole would work at the middle school level because they don't really need a credit, so they can still do that. We can look into that, see if we can find someone. Only loophole I can think of offhand right now is finding somebody licensed who could come in and observe and supervise. Occasionally, it doesn't have to be all the time, so we can look into that. If we can find someone, music license, let's say I had a music license before I became an administrator, I could supervise and do it that way. So I can look into that, but, and see if there are any other ways that Pell's Group licensing group would let us do something.
So the music teacher was in the high school and that's,
Kind of a middle and high school.
okay. And, will Corey be, covering the same ground, middle school and high school?
Will be, probably a little bit heavier, well, middle school side, I believe, but our hope is to help with behaviors.
So then when you say we're gonna close the music, we're shifting the money to this position. For the next year, where's the money?
Next year, we'll probably be looking again for a music teacher, and if that's the case, we will. Every year, it seems like our needs shift. Same with the fourth grade position that we're closing. We'll find that maybe we don't need the SSP anymore, and that shift will go back into a classroom. We always have retirements, we always have resignations. And when we have those, I try to work with those so that we don't have to make.
So we're only hiring for 1 year.
At this point. In fact, many of our SSPs, not to say many, but some of our SSPs, or the people we place on a tier 1, they are 1 year at a time. We re-up those permissions with Pell's. I should clarify, I misspoke. Corey will only be at the middle school at this point in time. So in that sense, that wouldn't be credited anyway. Most of the classes were at the middle school last year. So.
Hendrick still over in elementary school or just the teacher we're talking about? Wait. That Hendrick?
Right?
Yep.
Hampton.
I'm not sure which one it is.
Yeah,
We're not cutting anybody though. It's not like there's somebody being cut.
No, Mr. Hassan.
Yep. And you go there. Yep. So nobody's being cut. It's just,
Oh, so Hendrick is still over there.
Cool, thank you.
yeah,
Music's important, you know what I mean?
it very much is.
Is this, Corey Medina, is he working towards his licensure?
Not that I know of at the moment, but I think he's possibly, something he would consider.
He has background in working with kids.
Yep.
And they read.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we read our packs,
Yep. I'm, really excited that he was interested.
He's got a background in working with schools.
Yes,
I've done music with them, so I had kind of some of the more challenging.
right.
So I was glad to see him come on. I just wanted to, I think question was.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's a good move. We're losing a music class, but the fact that we're still gonna have some kind of music option in our schools, that's, Chris is right, it's really important to have.
He'll connect well.
And a role model.
Yep.
He's a role model for the students.
Yeah,
I want to see band at the games.
that would be.
Right.
Facts, facts.
Yeah, yep.
And what happened there, we didn't.
She moved.
She moved Kelly, and now she moved again, and she's a principal.
Oh.
Any further questions? All right, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We got 6-4, 0 against.
Madam Chair, if I can give you an update now, I did
Yes.
receive an update from Ashley Nelson on the likely location for the policy. The poll she sent out asking people where the majority would like to go for this retreat policy meeting. Most people wanted at the casino in Cass Lake. That was one of the 3 options, I believe, right?
So that's the licensed staff then, they go to a retreat or,
No, that's for the policy committee on Friday.
oh,
Also, the meetings is being cast late.
What?
Not if you don't want it there,
but that's
but
where the
that's the
staff, the
response.
committee wants to
Majority of
have
the
it.
committee members, yeah.
9 o'clock or 10 o'clock?
I think Shelley's on there.
From the board.
I'm on her. Mike, Jack.
Find out here.
And that's where they could, they're gonna have the discussion about,
Yeah,
policy 625.
Yeah.
9 o'clock.
But that still won't be settled that day. We gotta bring it back to us. We make the final,
Right,
we make the final vote on it.
yep.
And then they're always talking about, if there's like 4 members there, then
It's in a legal meeting.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's
Limited.
why- Yeah, you know, I mean, anybody can go, but just the idea of one person that,
We wanted to three or less.
Three or less.
Or a Zoom link or
I don't
a
know.
Teams meeting.
I think they could set that up. Yeah.
Or, I mean, you guys are, policy, you guys could ask for being good, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather have it up here, huh?
Yeah, well, one of the options was over at the library,
Okay. Well,
it
that's,
didn't matter to me.
Swing down here for the meeting's over, we can talk to it. How's that sound?
yeah, no.
Great, so we're gonna move on and, item 8, closed session if necessary. I don't think we're scheduled to have a closed session today. So we're gonna move on to item 9, action items. 9A,
Thank you, Chair Desjarlais. Item number 9A is the approval of the list of bills, checks, and wires in the amount of $3,598,645.46. Thank you.
I'll move on that.
which Mike, do we have a second?
Second.
Which Tom? Any discussions? All right, we're gonna take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Great, we got 6 for, 0 against. Item 9B,
Thank you, Chair Desjarlais. This is a routine item that we do once a year. We're starting to do it twice a year now, just because it's a good idea to keep it up to date. And that's a requirement put forth by the state and the MDE that we reauthorize at least once a year. The superintendent has a designated official with authority to assign certain reports and certain other responsibilities to different staff members. So it's referred to as the Iowa, I-O-A, identified official with authority, to be the one who authorizes people to make these reports and to do other things for the district. So I have before you today a motion to identify and designate me as a superintendent as the Iowa for the district for the next year.
Which, we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Chris, do you have a second?
Second.
Which Tom? We're gonna take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
6 for, 0 against. Item 9C,
Thank you, Chair Desjarlais. This item 9C is the ratification of the teachers bargaining unit master agreement for the next 2 years. Before I get into the details, I'll take a couple minutes to go through the changes. Make sure you know that it's part of your packet here. It looks like this, and it should be a separately stapled packet. I want to thank the members of the Red Lake Education Minnesota Association bargaining unit for a very respectable and civil and pleasant set of negotiations sessions. We met about 5 times, I think, 5 or 6 times. And we listened to each other and we considered each other's proposals and we worked little by little to come to this agreement. And I think it's a good agreement that meets the needs of both the district and of Education Minnesota Teachers Bargaining Unit. I'm going to go through maybe 7 or 8 changes in here. Take a couple minutes to do that. There are 38 pages in this contract or master agreement. Obviously, all of the dates, some page numbers, some names will be changed. And you can see throughout here, the changes are ones that are changed and struck out are in red and with a line through it. The ones that are new are generally, new additions are generally in yellow highlight. So first item I'd like to point out is on page 9. I'm not going to point out all of the date changes or anything, just some of the substantive changes. This is a change that was required by recent legislation. Towards the top of the page, section 2A, base salary, you see tier 1 highlighted. This means that now all teachers who are designated by PELSB and given a tier 1 license will be paid according to the salary schedule in the master agreement regardless of their area of study. So tier one is someone who's generally not carrying a standard license. Those are usually tier three or tier four. But the past few years, tiers 2, 3, and 4 were all part of the bargaining unit steps and lanes salary schedule. Now with this change, tier 1 teachers will be added to that. We move to page 11. We qualify for a sign-on incentive for teachers who are and other employees who are very difficult to find. So we've written into this bargaining unit master agreement the sign-on incentive where new employees hired on after July 1st are eligible for a $5,000 sign-on incentive. This would apply to discipline areas identified by the state of Minnesota as areas of teacher shortage. In the first year, the new hire would receive $1,000 in the first pay period in October, $1,500 in the first pay period in May. Upon returning as a teacher the next school year, they would receive $1,000 first pay period in October, $1,500 first pay period in May. So 2-year process. It's not like somebody can just take some money and then leave us. So it incentivizes people first and foremost to decide to come here and be hired, and then to stay for at least 2 years. And from my experience, if you stay at least a year, this place grows on you. And our hope is people will stay.
Like it grew on you.
It did.
So I have a question, Superintendent. So would this offer stand for years to come, or is it just for this period?
At this point in time, I believe it is just for this bargaining unit. We'll have to look again and see if legislation will allow us to do
Okay,
that.
because it was just passed this past. Okay, thank you.
Okay, if we can now move to page 18, we'll jump ahead here through a lot of non-changes on pages. This was a change we made to the language on section 2A preparation time, something that we did in-house with the teachers because there was some language that made it difficult to schedule some changes in the day. If we had a short day due to weather, or an early out or a late start due to a water main break or something like that, it was difficult to find and squeeze in prep time because teachers were allowed that prep time regardless of what happened. And it was really challenging to do that. So we changed the language to what's in yellow. In the event of an early release or a late start for students, due to an event, emergency, or disruption, excuse me, to any part of the day, prep can occur outside student contact time. Excuse me. Used to require prep to take place during student contact day, which made it very challenging to schedule. Now it can happen if we start late, people come here in the morning before students, they can take their prep then, or at the end of the day. Gives us more flexibility in our schedule. Moving on to page 19, at the very bottom, we just changed language that talks about severance pay being allowed to a VIVA account, rather than just saying 403B. Minor change, but it makes a difference for those people who wanted to do that with a VIVA. And then it goes into a little bit more detail, but it pretty much is, we scratched out the old language on page 20. Okay, now if we move page 28, we get into the actual dollars, money piece here. And some of the changes that we made, extracurricular pay was increased. Coaches increased were paid additional $300 for section C, section D, and we added a section called E. So if I'm kind of moving really quickly here, if you look, section B is on first page 28. Sections C and D are on page 29. That shows $300 raises for those coaches in those areas. And then on page 30, we added a couple of activities. One is playing unified sports. And we also added e-gaming and robotics. Make that official. We actually moved robotics out of E1 and moved it into more of a extracurricular activity.
Is it still the same pay for the robotics advisor?
Yes, except an increase of $300 also. We just moved it into a different label, a different section. And then if we move to page 32, 33, 34. 33 is the old salary schedule. You can see that it's all crossed out. 34, all in yellow, highlighted. Salary schedule was increased by $4,125 for each teacher for each of the 2 years. And one of the benefits of doing it that way, a lot of school districts increase it by 4%, 5%. What happens when you increase something by a percentage? Then it's not really equitable. Teachers who make 52,000 get 5%, which is a smaller raise than teachers who make 60,000. This way, everybody gets the same raise. So I kind of like the fairness behind it with the equity.
So a starting teacher, 56,000.
Yep, and change. And I'm really proud to be able to say to a potential college graduate or someone I'm trying to recruit, we can pay you on your first year, 56,000. I've been talking to some other people I know who are looking for work. You know, they've been teaching for a while and they want to change. I tell them, look, if you've been here 4 or 5 years, we can pay you over $60,000 if you come to Red Lake. It's a great school, great staff, kids are good, families support education. And that gets their attention when I say 60,000. So in order to keep, hire and retain good teachers, good staff anywhere, we need to treat them with the quality that they're worth. So that's a summary of the Teachers Master Agreement that I present to you for your approval and ratification. The bargaining unit people have already ratified it on their end. So once you approve it, it will be official. Thank you.
We have a motion to approve,
I'll move to approve that.
which Chris? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Tom, Rich. Any discussion?
Like so, the incentive, that doesn't include buses, right? Bus drivers, that's the others, or are they?
That's a non-certified.
Yep, at this point, it's just for teachers, but that's something that if we can look into, see, because that would, I think there are ways we can do that. Or there are ways we can, either an incentive or just an increase in salary that makes people work job here.
Anything else, guys? Okay, with that being said, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We got 6-4, 0 against. Okay, we're moving on to item 10, miscellaneous. Do we have anything today?
I like to take a moment to speak while you're on the miscellaneous item. So I emailed Sherry to talk about the policy 625, activities policy. Just wanted to, speak and say something just so other school board members could kind of just think about it until our next one after the policy meeting happens. So I guess my thinking behind it is, and I guess before I say anything, I'm a firm believer in getting your education. I graduated from here with honors, a couple of days away from being a salutatorian. Went to college, got my degrees. You know, I'm all for that. I've been working in the community for a decade and I see a wide range of kids. And you know, you talk to these kids and you hear their stories and you have empathy for their situation. And I've been coaching sports for a few years and I see the effect of extracurriculars and sports have on kids' mental health. So I'm speaking from a point of view of trying to improve the mental health and the mental well-being of our kids in our community. It's not to so much focus on the lowering of standards because, for example, I have kids that go to the middle school and high school here, and I tell them I expect you guys to get on the honor roll. That's my expectations of them. But I can't hold my same expectations to little Joey who's in foster care dealing with undiagnosed ADHD, has trauma from abuse, what may have you. So it's those situations and why, simply moving it back to a passing grade is, something that runs through my head. A lot of our kids, unfortunately, are in foster care, live in extreme poverty, experience homelessness, live with depression and suicidal thoughts, are diagnosed and undiagnosed with ADHD, ADD, autism, fetal alcohol syndrome, fetal alcohol effect, anxiety, PTSD, and other behavioral health issues. Unfortunately, some of these kids are abused sexually, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, dealing with the death of a family member, don't have access to the after-school programs that are currently offered, and are dealing with loss of identity. And success looks different to everyone. And the grades that we expect them to have are based on a colonial system. We could look at this as a way of decolonizing our train of thought and decolonizing our way we grade our kids in our native nation here in Red Lake. So, and based on our academic struggles through the decades, I just don't see where the school fit to be hiring our academic standards for the kids. So I wanted to speak that truth today based on the kids that I work with in the community and why it's important for us to give them the space to be able to be involved in extracurricular activities and sports because it helps them. It helps them more than we even know. So I just wanted to say that today, and maybe it's something to ponder when we eventually make our decision on whether to change it or keep it. English.
Oh, wow, me good for that, Tom. I appreciate the nice words on mental health awareness and our youth. A lot of that is very important, and we need to pay attention to our youth and the mental health that is occurring, and be supportive of our peers, the families out there that have their kids in the district. I thank you for that. It's very important to all of us. But I feel that doesn't have anything to do with being on the team. We need to focus on the students first, and prepare them to be positive ambassadors of the community. And we need to let go of that generational trauma that we all carry and make decisions, find out who we are, look into our culture and our language and realize where we come from. So those children need to get the strength of our ancestors, that passed on to us and, buckle down and do the work. And we had a young lady here who's on a full ride, and she also agrees that we shouldn't change it. A couple other students who passed through here and are doing good in college, they also agree we shouldn't change it. I think it's a challenge for our students to stay in school by keeping up that 2.0. So I appreciate your input. It's very important for all of us to hear that. Rich. With that being said, does anybody else have anything else to add?
I have mixed feelings on that. I think that if anybody who's going to school wants to participate in sport, they should be able to participate, no matter what grade they have. They shouldn't be held back on it. I mean, that's just my feeling alone. I just feel that they want to play in a sport, they should be able to play.
And I feel playing on a sport is a privilege. We're here to gain our education.
Yeah.
Being an educated Anishinaabe myself know how important education is, and coming from poverty and, alcoholism. Be good for your input. Anybody else have any input?
I've always been a strong proponent of education. I come from a poor family. Or my bedroom was a blanket stuck over the room. And then my other sisters, their room was on another blanket. All house. So we can't say, I don't know where I come from when being poor. My mother always stressed education. And she put all of us through school, high school on her own. And most of my brothers and sisters all got their college degree, either taught or did this or did that, nurses, doctors. So I believe it's important for us to get our education, but it's not. We can't forget the generational trauma that our people have been through. This is going on for 400, 500, 600 years now. And that ain't gonna be erased. Not in our lifetime. But, it's good to see that we're starting to do something about it. You know, proud to see a lot of our people starting to learn the language. There's a saying out there that the language isn't gonna be taught by the dark-skinned people anymore. It's gonna be taught by the white-looking Shinabes. And I'm seeing that going on right now too. I'm hopeful for that, and I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be here. But I've had a good run in this land. And I hope to see a lot more of our children going off to school. But there's also that importance of the being active. We're all diseased so much by our environment and colonial aspects that have been forced upon us. I just wanted to add that on to this. Your physical education is a very important thing to help you keep our kids from ending up in that nursing home over there without no legs or without dialysis and all this stuff. But you can physically fit all your life. That really prevents a lot of what you see around you, not only in this reservation, but everywhere all over the country. All because of the processed food or commodities we used to get. We need to get these our schools to where we're eating the food that the Creator gave to us, specifically gave to us, which is the wild game, the berries, your corn, all of this other stuff. I'm a gardener, some people might know, but I've been made fun of most of my life saying I was a farmer. I said, shit, I ain't getting no farmer welfare. Whenever I put something in the ground, I have to ensure that it comes out. I don't get paid if I have a garden, and I don't get paid if I don't have a garden. Not like this farmer welfare that they get. That's where their generational wealth came from. All these farmers around here. Then they make all this money, then they pass it on to their kids. Then it gets passed on to their grandkids. Right off the bat, they got a big ass silver spoon in their mouth. You know, that's why they're able to go buy a brand new truck every season. Drive these $500,000, $1 million combines and everything, John Deere, all of that good stuff. That's all generational wealth. We don't have generational wealth. Our generational wealth is our knowledge, our indigenous knowledge. And that's going to be, and it's been taken care of all these years to have us get rid of it. Get rid of us, get rid of the indigenous knowledge that we inherited from our ancestors. And I might be going off on a tangent here, but I just want to stay out of it. Maybe somebody open their ears and listen once in a while instead of talking all the time. I've been told to listen. That's why I don't mention too much around in these meetings, because it seems to go in one ear and out the other for some people. Doesn't matter, as long as they're making the big bucks and everything. But we don't make the big bucks around here. I'm also proud to be a veteran of the service here. I didn't have no barn to hide in when it came time to go in the service. I didn't have no bone spurs or anything. I went in the service because all my relatives have been in the service and I've all fought for this country. I would have did the same if I would have been sent to Vietnam or anywhere else. That is part of the place where I come from. The warrior spirit runs through my blood. I care for these children because the blood that runs through their veins runs through mine. So just so we're clear on all of this, I don't say too much most of the time. but just so, this is out there, just so you know. You
Anything else, school board members, would like to add?
On that topic, then I got another topic. As a coach for many years, it's a big challenge to learn, you know what I mean? But I also think that it's part of my duty to do a little bit more than just. So we get to know these people, you know, we find out where they come from. It's been a magical ride for me. Every time I'd be coaching, I ended up coaching, and now I couldn't think of doing anything else. But, you know, but I like the trend that we're on of more versatility. Their athleticism, go to college. We didn't have that before. we've always had time to athletes. Always. But what do we call it? We're telling parents and it's requirement. It's more than talent. So I think we're onto something good. Everybody I've talked to has stated that we should leave it where it's at. And I can talk to everybody. But I talked to a lot of people saw your post last night, reached out to me, and one of my thoughts. That's why we're here, right? That's why people put us here. Is they trust us, but then they also want us to communicate. So I appreciate at least put it out there and they generated some communication. As much as I love sports and we're first and foremost, we are educational. That's why I try to use sport to bring out the market. You know, if I was a good singer, that's what I would do. If I was a guitar player, that's what I would do. But sport was something that I was like, you know, so that's my communication on that.
Thank you, Rich, for that. Thank you, Rich.
If I could add, Chair Desjardins, that we're also working on ways to include more opportunities for students to be involved in things. You know, adding esports, and adding drone racing, indoor drone racing, and the peer leader program. You don't need to be, get a failing grade or something in peer leadership. You get help, you don't get kicked or, get told you can't be part of it for a couple of weeks. Because that's what peer leadership is about, trying to help those students with that. Now, of course, we look for peer leaders who are getting decent grades so they can help other students, but my goal is to get more people involved, more kids involved with more things, so they have less of a need or an interest in things like ganging. Those are my thoughts.
know, I'd like to add something over the last maybe 6, 8, 10 years. It was like, people on the staff here wanted to knock down our athletic programs around here. And it even went to the point where we got transferred out of 1A over to 2A. I didn't think it was fair at all, this, as if it was part of the plan to knock our athletic achievements out, or to put a damper on everything. But now that we're going back into 1A, I guess, they all said it was because of enrollment and all that, but I didn't see that. More or less a way to, don't want no shenanigans to get no recognition for anything. You want to keep them under their thumb all the time. Keep them oppressed. And that was just another way it seemed like. I could mention the names, but I think the ones that have been on this board for a few years now, they know exactly who I'm talking about. Not just one person. So I just wanted to make the rest of the board aware of this. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, that's up to you. We don't force nothing on nobody. But this is what I've seen over the 6, 8 years that I've been on this board.
Well, I'm here now. Now make sure that we won't go too late. Now I'm gonna be a youth advocate for many years to come. I was gonna stand up for the Red Lake Nation youth.
Yeah, I'm not singling you out right now.
No, I'm just letting you know that I'm here. I'm gonna be here to fight for our youth, stand up for them. And I'm also gonna learn Ojibwe Ojibwe and teach it to my kids. So I just wanna share with you, Lee Witch, for all your wise words. I just wanna share that I'm here, you know, and I'm still in my youth.
Chris, you say you had another, topic after the,
Go ahead, Chris.
All right. I attended the, tribal, what do we call it, the Department of Ed.
Yeah, government to government meeting.
Yeah, yeah, and, they had some fair questions, and I know you two were on the phone, I don't know how well you heard, but,
I heard everything.
so they were, concerned about what we're teaching. Or are we teaching the Constitution or something like that?
Yep, we
There was, you know,
are.
there was three things. He had mentioned, I know that.
Treaties.
The treaty,
Yep, teaching that, teaching the Constitution, teaching language.
yeah. So that's kind of something I told him too at the end, because I didn't know he was gonna call me out on the floor, but, you know, just using, we have this power now to use our schools to use our culture. You know, and to do race kind of what we're. But they also had some not so favorable stuff this time about the union, and I couldn't answer that because
I agree.
I've never been on that negotiating side.
And in fact, it was an employee of the school district who made a comment about our staff.
So that concerned.
And
Concerns me as well.
it concerned me because it was inaccurate, you know? They talked about, he brought up, you know, we're teaching pyramids. But when we're being asked to teach culture, then the teachers say, well, pay me. But that's not what's happened.
Yeah.
We teach culture because it's in the curriculum that we get from the state. It's part of the curriculum. We don't have a curriculum for Ojibwe language and culture. We're building it, you know? So when someone is asked, teach me, or, you know, if the teacher is asked to teach Ojibwe language and culture, they're willing to do that, but they, in order to do that, have to go to a workshop, have to go to training. So it takes time to do that. And Januk was here a little while ago, but he taught several classes this summer. And a lot of our teachers showed up for that. A lot of our white teachers came in and learned the language and learned how difficult it is, learned the basics of it. I sat in at least 3 of those days. And one of the things I'm glad I did, because I learned not only how hard it is, but I learned that it's important to understand English and English grammar if you want to learn any other language. We start talking about participles, we start talking about indirect and direct objects, we start talking about animate versus inanimate verbs and objects. If students don't know what those things are because they're not learning English, it's harder to learn Ojibwe, Anishinaabe languages. So out of that meeting, we came up with a great idea that one of our English classes in the middle school is going to be team taught. The language English class, and it'll be the Ojibwe language culture class, which I think is a wonderful idea, so they can learn both at the same time. But to say that our teachers are asking for more money in order to teach certain things, that's not what they're asking. They're just asking, teach me how to do this, send me to a workshop. Sometimes those workshops take lots of days to do. I'm excited that the Department of Education and the state of Minnesota are working on a curriculum for 12 tribes. I should say 11 because the Mdewakanton already has something lined up. But in 3 or 4 years, we'll have a curriculum that we can teach. That would be amazing.
Which that's why it's important for school board members to go out and recruit teachers and ask them, you know, bring them in and let's become teachers in our own community. So I'm proud to say our summer rec program, and we're in that direction. We have a big group that are probably gonna be teaching here. Meekwich, everyone, do we have any more input? Rob, how about you?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, school board members? Okay, with that being said, we're gonna move to item 11, adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Meekwich, Tom? Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Meekwich, Rob, all those, do we have any discussion on that? Colleen Gagel, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Which, and the time is 3:01.
I'm gonna give Ashley a quick call now. She's at the dentist. She might not be able to answer. But I've told her that we're hoping that we can maybe move the meeting on Friday. Hey, Ashley, good. Thanks for answering. Board is wondering, yeah, if we could have the meeting here instead, so more people might be available to come to it, contribute and to listen. Because the board, has taken that policy on eligibility and we would have the, policy committee to discuss.
Not gonna set up over there now? That's it.
Yeah, dude.
What time, 5:30?
5:30, they said it starts. Yeah, so I got a couple of workers that have helped me all summer. I got tired of setting up and doing it.
What are you doing, Tom?
Yep.